Hello, hello. How is everyone?
Hello.
Doing good.
Good, good. Good
Hello.
to see y'all. Make sure we're on. Let's see. Okay. Can you guys hear me okay? We're good to
Yep.
go.
Perfect.
Pretty great.
It's like the first big challenge. Heads up, everything is always recorded. Just, so if you like want to not be on scene, you can totally not be on camera. Completely up to you. Um, we try to be really laid back here. I think, Michelle, I think I say this every time. There's so much information that we have to cover.
Yeah, this was like the most important meeting. I was at a meeting downtown. I'm like, I've got to go. I've got to go. I've got a class with Nisi at 12. I've got to go.
It's like we listened. We listened. I think things are changing so fast. Just to give you guys an idea, we probably do 2 to 3 AI trainings a week. And the past 2 weeks, we are like literally like an hour before training, like updating slides and changing things because there's so many things happening so fast. So we're always like, currently, this is what's happening right now, but hopefully we can kind of get through without any big changes. I am going to mention a couple of big changes right off because I think it affects everybody, especially in this space. And I don't think there's bandwidth as a business owner to kind of keep track of one more thing. So really quickly, before we get into the AI training, I want to mention there's been a policy change with CapCut. So if you use it to do your mobile video editing, their policy change is almost scary, to be honest, because basically what it's saying for them is there is no privacy. You have no privacy. Even if you use it to create a video, so you upload your images to create a video or your video and use their editing software. And then even if you download it, save it on your device and delete it from their platform, they still have it. And their new privacy statement says that they can still use it however they want. The scarier part about that is because a lot of people are using CapCut for like quick trending things, TikTok, Instagram, they're using music that was maybe approved for CapCut or TikTok or Instagram or whatever, but not for other platforms. And because you're not licensed to use it, if you use it and it's your music, so you're the creator, curator of it, you are the one that's in trouble, not CapCut. So they are removing themselves from being in trouble for that. The other big change that has happened is with ChatGPT. They are currently in the middle of a court case, making every chat something that can be admissible in court. So we've said this before a million times whenever we teach. Anything that you put into any automated system is potentially going to be up for public grabs just because of how information is shared or collected. And so if you think for a second, any platform where there's some sort of automation, that is a privacy breach opportunity. So even if like you don't remember your password to get into your Gmail, that sits in an automated platform in Chrome. And if there is a court case about that, you risk your information being shared somehow. So just kind of keep those safety things in mind always, not just, I think people are like, oh my gosh, I'm so worried that, ChatGPT is going to share this or going to access that. The privacy thing has always been there, but now people are more aggressively just kind of using all the things. And so it's really important to know what's what. Yeah, Michelle, go ahead.
How do we get around that or avoid that? Or I mean, everybody lives for Chat GPT. In fact, some of my clients now think that they're writers because of Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Um, what do we do?
There is no way around it. There is
Okay.
no way around. So we always suggest, starting from an internal document, like a document on your device, so a Word doc, but not a Word doc in the cloud, right? There's a
Right.
difference difference. You can have a Word document open on your device, and you can have a Word document that's in the cloud. If you need to start with sensitive information, start there. When it's time to use these other platforms, you want to remove the sensitive information before it goes into the other platforms or before you share a link to a document. So once you create a link to your Word doc, it
It's out in the
becomes,
world.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So just always keep those things in mind. I think if you are internally using Microsoft, that is probably the safest space. But Copilot has its hiccups like everybody else. It's not as user-friendly as ChatGPT. And so, and of course I'm saying this, it is June 18th, and by July 18th, all of that can be null and void, right? So
Oh, exactly.
that's
I've been
that's
using
yeah, go ahead.
I've been using Claude AI. He is like my best friend.
Yeah.
I mean, he
Love.
sends me notes in the morning, like back at it, Michelle, huh? And I'm like, oh, Claude, help me write
I
it's
know. I tell people all the time, like, this is your thought partner. Stop using it as a task rabbit and use it as a thought
yeah,
partner.
yeah.
So, but
And even though, I take his stuff and I'll copy it into my Word document that is, kept on my drive, my C drive, and then I'll go through and I'll change it. And I'm like, no, I don't like this. And what I also learned, and this is probably out of turn, and I've had a little bit too much coffee today, but people can recognize when you're using Chat GPT or when you're using AI because they always use an M dash or a long dash. Everything that they write, there's always a dash in it. So if you
yeah,
remove that, that kind of gets past the AI detectors.
yeah. There's about 13 hardcore identifiers that we know of. Like, I can see it because I'm in it all day, every day. There's also an XY feature. If this, then that, or we are because that is also a very heavy AI component. We're going to learn about prompting. And in the prompting, I'm going to show you how to be a better prompter, like ask a better way so that you don't have the very obvious, AI kind of responses in your stuff. And also, you don't ever want to copy paste. It always should sound very much, on brand instead of like,
Exactly. I've even gone so far as act as a corporate social media manager with over 4 decades of corporate experience and help me write a blurb about, kidney analysis or whatever it is.
yeah,
And it, I think giving those extra prompts, even though it might seem useful or wasteful, it kind of like gives a little bit more of a better answer.
yeah, totally does. Totally does. And that's really it. So let's get into it. There's, again, like I always say, there's so much information. We always run out of time because there's just so much stuff. Feel free. We are solid in just Zoom, which is always a treat for me. I'm not looking in other spaces for comments and stuff. So feel free to unmute, ask a question, drop it in the chat. It's just me and you, and we're all family here, so we're going to figure it out. So the first thing I want you to do, drop in the chat why you're here. Like, why is learning about AI important to you right now? As I just spilt my water on my shirt. I guess my mouth doesn't work anymore. Best answer, Michelle. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So let me tell you this, if you feel the overwhelm of AI, and if you feel like if I don't master it, I'm going to be left behind, that's appropriate. It's overwhelming. There's a lot that you can do with it. I'm going to teach you to create what we call a tech stack. And this is how you use different platforms to leverage what you do specifically. How I use ChatGPT versus Canva versus Claude versus Jasper is all different. Sometimes I do it based off of the the project that I'm working on, and sometimes I do it based off of the role that I am as part of that project. And we're going to look at both of those things today. So the first thing I want you to know is all the things that you need to know and be mindful of when we think about it. We started the hour with all the current things that have happened, and that's just in the last 7 days. We receive a notification every day, like what changes are coming up, what should we know, what should we prepare for, kind of thing. But that's what our business is, right? You are not the business of AI, so like how do you keep track and things like that? And I'm going to show you as we go through the different ways to use it, how to leverage those opportunities. So it is reducing overhead. This is why businesses are like, we got to get on it. We got to figure it out. We got to be a part of it. I think the thing that we don't know how to do is figure out what sliver of it do we need to have for ourselves versus learning all the things. Because you don't need to know how to do all the things in AI. You just need to know how to master it in your space. And a couple of you put in there automation. And so we use a lot of AI agents. AI agents, if you're not managing them right, can run amok, just like a bad employee. And so it's really important to know what that looks like. If you are seriously focused on automation, then what you should be learning and paying attention to are AI agents. My guess is most of your platforms that you're already on has some sort of AI agent. So if you're on your website, you have a little chat bot that opens up when you have a visitor. That is an AI agent. They're doing something for you without you asking them to do it, right? They're automatically responding for you. Those are agents. If you have somebody that's reading your emails and giving you a summary, if you have Gmail, you've got it because they're pushing it on us heavy. They're giving you that summary. That's an AI agent. I think the thing that's important, a lot of people feel like, oh, we're going to be replaced, and you will not be replaced, but how we do business will change. And if you don't include this as part of your portfolio of skill set, you will get left behind. AI, the way we're using AI right now, generally in our communities, is about 2 years behind where AI really is and how it's really being used. And so if that doesn't scare you just a little bit, we are so much further ahead and behind the scenes in tech space and tech world than the AI that's open that everybody is using right now. Startups have been able to just go from zero to absolutely nothing to having every piece of document, policy, process, procedure, content, marketing in the matter of weeks as opposed to months and months. If your business is a startup, you are the one that started it from scratch. You know what it's like creating all of that information just to lay the foundation for your organization to get busy. It's also important that you know the way people are going to find you is going to look different. A few months ago, most AI platforms added sites. So they are not just pulling information that they make up in a hallucination, they're citing websites. And there's an actual way for you to be a part of that, to list it's in a beta right now, but to list your business as part of that outside of like the typical SEO things that we do. We did a class on SEO, and part of that class was about how do we show up so that the bots behind the screen can find us when our clients are searching for us. And a big part of that has shifted because AI is bringing in that information. So now when you do a search for a certain type of business or a certain type of information, and you say, and can you provide the site and where you got that information from? You want to be a part of that. Okay. So AI is there for that as well, because we went from searching in a browser to searching on platforms like YouTube or TikTok. And now we're searching in AI spaces. So people get on ChatGPT and ask questions, and they don't want to have to go and open up another browser to figure out the rest of the answer. They want all of it in one place. And so we want to make sure that we're a part of that as well. There's a lot of coding capability that was just not available. I can remember probably 6 years ago, I think, I got my youngest kiddos into like a coding camp because I was like, I know where the world is going. You're going to need to know coding. You're going to have some sort of tech edge, to kind of keep up with things. And now that's just not really the case. Instead of developers needing to learn how to code, they need to learn how to prompt. So the skill set that we really want you guys to have as everything is changing is called prompt engineering, because this is what's going to produce what you're looking for in whatever capacity you're in. And then we know that when we personalize, we profit. Old school way of marketing and getting business is if we put it out there, they will come. We put out what we want to put out, and people will come because of brand loyalty and things of that nature. That is not how we do business anymore. We did a class this morning in Canva, and we talked about your brand and the psychological safety that the familiarity of your brand, the aesthetic of your brand has in expediting trust, so people will purchase from you, right? So if I don't know, if you know me, I love Buc-ee's. Every time I travel, I go to a Buc-ee's, and I will be at like 2 miles left in the gas tank, and I'm still gonna pass everything until I get to the Buc-ee's because I have built trust and loyalty there, right? And same is true with the aesthetic of your brand. Well, when you are using AI, if you're not doing prompt engineering really well, what will happen is it will look choppy. It will look like 8 people are creating stuff from all over the place and throwing it together. And so we really want you to be mindful of what that looks like moving forward for yourself. Also, let's get some money. Let's get some money. One of the things that I love to do is find leveraging tools that make my life easier. I am working in Typeset right now. I discovered Typeset maybe 6 or 9 months ago, I think. And it was really still kind of, blocky. It didn't really flow. It's still got some work to do, but it's okay. But what I love about it is I can start in ChatGPT with a blank canvas. Like, I don't know what I want to talk about. I can get an outline of information that I want to have. I can move it to Claude where I know I'm going to get a sophisticated response. I can copy paste the response from Claude into Typeset, and I can produce whatever, like ebooks. And so we have been ebook producing, a madness over here because it's so easy now. And whereas before when we were doing an ebook, oh my gosh, it would take us weeks and weeks because of formatting and getting images right and things of that nature. You don't have to do that now. So you're always looking for ways to, if you're going to add a new skill set, can you monetize on that new skill set that you're adding? And AI is a great way for you to be able to do that. It's also a great way for you to manage your financial control. I see a financial report and my eyes go blurry. I immediately start to check out. And so I can use AI to help me summarize information, to help me, point out the things that I need to be paying attention to based on my role in that scenario. I can also use it to help me forecast. It can pull some pretty current information. It can pull historical information about my industry or my niche. We worked with a client to figure out what she should be charging. And we use a lot of information and support from AI platforms. And so it's really important that you know that it can really be your thought partner, your business partner. And we want you to use it that way as opposed to using it for just TaskRabbit. I need to create an email. Yeah, you can use it to create an email. That's great. But there's other ways, there's better ways that you can use it. Okay. All right, so let's go into what we're going to learn today. I'm going to give you some tools for your business. I'm going to give you some ways to use different platforms and what they're built for. And then we're going to go into some of those platforms. We're going to go into ChatGPT, Claude, and Canva because they're all kind of are used differently. You guys are also going to get a checklist. Stack deck list is what we call it. And it's so you can build your hamburger, your tech stack hamburger and what you need. And I'll show you how to do that as well throughout the training. All right, I'm going to turn my screen off because obviously my training screen is over here. So you don't just see the side of my head. That's no fun. Okay, so if you are needing to use AI for writing and content creation, it's important that you understand which platforms will work well for you and which platforms you're going to kind of struggle with a little bit. Obviously, we love ChatGPT. It really does capture all of the opportunities. I will say this, ChatGPT is the platform for framework. So if you're starting from kind of a small concept or a little idea and you want to build on that, I would go with ChatGPT. For less than $20 a month, you can really hone into some of their other features. I know that everybody has different budgets, but I feel like if you're going to find $20 a month to invest in your business, let it be with ChatGPT. Okay. This is going to give you that platform that you need to really start learning how to prompt, how to ask in sequence, and things of that nature. Jasper has actually been out for a very, very long time, but it has really been a part of the marketing world. Marketing and social media, we have used Jasper for years, and we kind of just didn't say anything to anybody because it really was about ads and landing pages and emails, really dedicated in that space. But if that's the world that you're in, then this is perfect for you. It is really suited for agencies. So that doesn't mean like, 30 team agencies. It means if you are a team of one or two, or you have several clients, because it gives you the opportunity to have teams engage on that platform. It's designed that way, so to speak. Okay. And then Copy AI. A lot of people confuse ChatGPT AI with Copy AI. Copy AI is really about creating workflows, especially if you are in e-commerce. So we use Copy AI if we have a client that is selling a product. So it might be a book, or it might be any type of physical product. That whole abandoned cart thing that we learned a few years ago, that's where Copy AI comes in. It really helps you streamline your communication sequence with your transactional clients or customers. And then I say Canva maybe when it comes to writing, only because one of the new updates with them is that you can kind of do everything in one place, whereas before you kind of had to go back and forth. And I'll give examples of that when we get to the Canva platform. For those that are using visuals and designs, obviously Canva Magic Studio, they're getting better and better and better, but you have to be in it and use it. The easiest thing to use is their Canva Magic Studio or their Canva Create, and I'll show you guys an example of how to use both of those really quickly. If you are trying to create a lot of content, and it doesn't necessarily have to be high definition, super specific, Canva's a great place to go. Again, I would definitely pay for the pro plan, only because they really do make it difficult to use all the features if you are, on the free plan. They do have discounts and freebies if you are a teacher or if you are a nonprofit. Adobe Firefly. So this one is more on that professional side. This is going to be for very high definition images, things that you want to put out in mass. So if you have a report, if you are doing a cover of a book, if every little detail is super, super important that you get it right, you want to work over in the Adobe Firefly space. Now, I will say this, because of Canva, Adobe is much easier to use. The AI features on it are also much easier to use. All right, for those of you that are doing workflow planning and organization, all of us, we own businesses, right? Our managed businesses. Zapier is we call them recipe king, but it is really the king of automation. They were really one of the first platforms that provided us with the opportunity to connect several different platforms. This was the first place that we went when we wanted kind of a chain of events to happen without us manually having to do it. it is still a great platform. It is still probably the best platform. If you're kind of stuck in several different types of systems or platforms, and maybe you bought into it and you can't get out or anything like that, you want to make sure that you can see if there's a way to integrate Zapier. It is truly the king of automation. So you can take a Google form and create an automation that when someone provides an answer in your Google form, that they will receive an email. And then after they receive an email, you will register them for an upcoming event, and then you will add them to an email sequence. The thing that works great about this is because we didn't have these SaaS platforms before, or these platforms that would do all of these things, Zapier connected all of those spaces for us. Or maybe you're in the startup phase and you can't afford the bells and whistles on all the platforms that you use. You can go in with Zapier and they can kind of bridge that gap for you. Just be mindful if you're using the free one, there's only so many, they call them zaps, that you can use. And if you're using the paid version for really complex situations, you can use it. My suggestion is this. If you're going to use it, make sure it's only for one business, one entity. It does get a little complicated if you are an agency trying to use it. Just make sure that each of your clients has their own account and workflow, as opposed to you managing all of the accounts and workflows on there like a third party. Notion is a great place to kind of have this intimate conversation of like, how can I really leverage what I'm doing to get in front of the people that I need to be in front of so that I can look more sophisticated than what I am. When we talk about sophistication, I mean in vocabulary, I mean in ideas, I mean conceptually where you're at with your business and your organization. What does that look like? And so it comes from platforms like this that just kind of ask you better questions. One of the things that, if you're not careful, Claude and ChatGPT, they will just kind of, brown nose and be like, you are the best person in the whole wide world. That's an excellent idea. And as you go through writing stuff, they're just lying to you. They're lying to you, and you need somebody to tell you the truth. If what you're putting in ChatGPT is garbage, you don't want somebody to be like, that's a great idea. And with Notion, the thing that's great about them is they kind of go, let's think about that for a second without the prompting. So if you want to start a policy, then you have to go in and understand if you're doing it in ChatGPT or Claude, they're going to agree with whatever you say, unless your prompt says to disagree with me. So just make sure you understand that in the platforms that you're using. Taskade, I'm not sure if many people are familiar with. Project management is where we go for this. I love the mind mapping that's here. The great thing about Taskade is if you've ever needed a whiteboard for your own brain, this is a great place to go. It gives you like the full layout of a concept or an idea or a project, and you can kind of see all of the bumps visually that you might have, any bottlenecks, things like that. Asana is very much a project management platform, but it's very pretty, whereas ChatGPT is maybe not so glamorous, right? So that's why this platform works really well. Again, with this one, I would suggest use it until you figure out the ROI and then pay for the paid version or pro version. All right, if you're in customer service or doing any type of customer service interaction, excuse me, these are the two that you want. These are really those chat bots that will automate things for you. A lot of people, are just now realizing like, hey, wait a second, we've had chatbots for a long time now. Chatbots are AI. So I know for in marketing space, we were introduced to chatbots on Facebook several years ago. So if you ever went to a business page and that business page messenger popped up and said, hey, how can we help? Or here's our office hours. Or during COVID, we had a lot of clients where we were changing that pop-up message to say, due to COVID, we're closed, or these are abbreviated hours, or things like that. So there was a lot of opportunity that has been happening. Again, because people are on different platforms and using different systems, they've got to go in and build an external funnel to kind of keep people in the loop. But I think the thing that's great about the evolution of tech that we're in right now is each of the platforms that we use, they know in order for us to stay committed to them, they've got to bring these bells and whistles that these other AI platforms are bringing. So let's talk about how different industries are using AI right now. So if you're a coach or a consultant, the best way to use it really, truly is your email nurture sequence. Here's why. We know that people don't hear you speak or get presented with your concept and then immediately buy from you, especially because you represent an individual. And it's much harder, ironically, to build trust with an individual and purchase from them than it is, if you guys are strangers, than it is from a brand that you're familiar with. So this is a great time to use that email nurture sequence. The other thing that's great is when you are hosting or you're flying solo, dropping in your video into one of these AI platforms that can kind of take that for you. Otter is a great one for it. Canva can also do it. When I go to speak and I'm by myself and I don't know anybody in the audience, I will sometimes set up 2 or 3 cameras because nobody's there to take photos of me, right? Nobody's there to record. And then I will dump all of that information into one of my platforms to get different results. Even Zoom has a platform where you can create these it's like 5 or 7 minute videos. So that way you don't have to go into something you're unfamiliar with. So just be mindful. Most of the platforms are getting, leading the charge, and like, I want my platform to be all inclusive. Ask the question, go into customer service and be like, what do you got for me, right? All right, if you're in beauty, wellness, or aesthetics, here's what we want you to know. Use it for your graphics. I'm going to show you in Canva how you can, with like a 2-sentence descriptive, create flyers or a social media post. You don't have to start from a blank slate, which is always really challenging. Canva Magic Write, we're going to use that too, which is why I'm trying to like rush through these slides. We're going to use that too, so I can show you that you can start with like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to talk about. Sorry for those of you that were in the Canva, you're going to get a repeat of that today. If you're an accountant, finance, right, in that space, those monthly reports that you need to send out or those forecast summaries, if you are managing a board and you have some folks on your board that like the financial reports are just not it for them, you can get your financial report and change it to a fashion that works for you or works for your board members. If you are collecting donations, end of year, creating those email campaigns, any type of dashboards or spreadsheets that just kind of look very plain, black and white. And you see how folks are going in and they're creating all of these really beautiful dashboards, especially if they have to present. This is a great place to do it. If you're in Microsoft Copilot, I will tell you, Copilot is really good for understanding the document that you're working on. So if you put a document into Microsoft and you use Copilot, it can really help you understand that document. So you don't have to read every single line, every single word to get that done. Jasper is another one. Jasper, I think the thing about Jasper that's great is it knows how to break things down into bite sizes. So that you can regurgitate. Maybe you're filling in for the financial person, you can regurgitate those things. All right, my real estate agents. Wouldn't it be great if somebody just wrote your listings for you? Yes, you can do that. You can also create that drip email campaign. I know that if I have ever gone to an event, like a networking event, and there was a real estate agent there, I know the second that she has my contact information, I am going to be part of her drip email campaign. Real estate agents understand nurturing. It's not a no, it's a not right now. And I think a lot of business owners need to understand that as well. It's not a no, it's a not right now, or I know somebody else better than me. And so I think when we think about ways to continue communication or lead generation, I always think of the mindset of a real estate agent or real estate broker because they are in it for that nurturing part. They are in it for that long game. And because they stay top of mind, because they create content and communicate that way, they have a higher conversion rate. MailChimp and all the other email platforms, again, they know better. They've got to keep up. They've got to make sure that they are, their standards are just as good as any other platform. So if you're using MailChimp, I would stay within MailChimp if possible, instead of using 3 or 4 other platforms to get your email sequence out. That makes sense. E-commerce. Okay, so here's the thing. When you move into more of a transactional business or e-commerce product-based business, you want a platform that was designed for that, right? So like Jasper was designed really for that marketing community. So the way it will deliver a response is really dedicated to your clients, your audience. Shopify has Shopify Magic. So if you have someone that has a product that they want to, start to sell, um, literally you can give a description, upload a couple of photos, and Shopify Magic will create your entire storefront for you. They will also create the email sequence, the abandoned cart sequence, all of that stuff for you. You just personalize it. Again, SEO is huge. We know if we don't have good SEO, we can't be found. So we want to make sure that we have great SEO. When you're looking at Midjourney, this is that visual component. If your product is a very visual product, Midjourney can help you mainly with like backgrounds and mocks. So don't just think of it as the image that you need to create. Also think of it as the aesthetic of where the image sits. All right, educators and course creators. So I love I love to use ChatGPT when I have an idea for a course, but I really don't have any substance to it, or I really don't know where I want to go with it. And the way that I prompt through it helps me figure out, is this going to be a 1 hour training, a 2 hour training? Is this something I need to do in person or all day? And I like it. I like to use ChatGPT with that first because it's very much a yes or a no. Yes, that works. No, it won't work. Or yes, it works and this is why, or no, it won't work and this is why. And again, your responses are dependent on what you put into ChatGPT to get that answer back. All right, if you're doing podcast or content creation, if you're in business, everything is content. Ways to summarize your episodes into blog posts, tweets, and reels. Canva has a method to do this. If you love Canva and you feel safe there, I would not jump to a bunch of other different platforms. Canva can do it for you. If you're a little bit more techie and you need something a little bit more high quality in production, I love Descript. I especially love Descript when I'm filming what looks like beef footage, but it's just because, I don't have proper camera equipment or maybe the sound isn't great. And there's a lot of ums or uhs or pauses. I literally can remove and add words to the transcript and it changes the audio of the video. So Descript is our default for that, for podcasts and video content creation. But again, every platform literally has some sort of AI feature in it. If you're on TikTok and you upload a video and maybe a couple of photos, they have an auto edit clip. They'll do it for you, so you don't have to think about it. If you're looking to get transcriptions from your episodes, here's what you should know. We have a lot of clients, what they will do is they will send us 45 to an hour and a half video footage of them in front of their Zoom camera talking about a hyper-specific thing. We take that video and we slice it up. We slice it up into a blog, we slice it up into social media posts, we slice it up into checklists and documents and things like that. We call it our kind of one and done. You give us one long form content and we can slice it up for you. So when you're thinking about building your content, think of what content can I create that can be used the most? And it is almost always going to be video footage of you talking about a hyper specific thing. Descript is great for that. That's, again, our favorite. Canva, you can still do the same thing. You can still get any of your work transcribed. If you're already on a platform and they transcribe it for you, so let's say you have a Zoom meeting and you have Read AI and you guys had some great ideas pop up out of it, take your transcript, drop it into ChatGPT and say, hey, I just had this brainstorming meeting and we talked about all of these great things, copy paste, whatever the transcript is. Can you give me some structure to this? What can I do with this information and turn it into social media or a blog? Or give me ideas of how we can pivot this into a podcast episode, right? So you're always kind of in this recording phase because you know that at some point you can take that information and really use it to your advantage. All right, for my nonprofits or mission-driven organizations, Grammarly is going to be your best friend. As much as I love ChatGPT and all the other platforms, when it comes to proper etiquette and grammar and writing styles, Grammarly is your way to go. If you're kind of a mobile person in that business, you can get the Grammarly keyboard app on your phone. So if you have to do social media posts and you misspell everything, that's me. I misspell everything. I don't even know how sometimes. And you can get that Grammarly keyboard and it will help you sound more sophisticated if you have, like me, 8 words that you use every day. Okay. If you're looking at grants and grant writing and maybe that tone and things of that nature, Grammarly, again, is a really great place to be at. It has almost all of the AI features as ChatGPT. So it can expand, it can explain, it can break things down. And so, you can also use Grammarly as an overlay app. So I can be in ChatGPT and my spell corrector be Grammarly, so it can overlay on most of your apps as well. All right, healthcare professionals. Do not put any patient information into any AI platform. Just make sure that it is always behind a firewall that is HIPAA grade. I know I don't have to say it, but I always feel like it's necessary somehow. Here's how you can use AI, especially if you're in a private practice and you're trying to do 10 roles on top of seeing patients, on top of patient care. Your education material. We have a client that is general practice, but they really are heavy in their education. And one of the first things we did is we went through the entire annual calendar of like awareness month, heart health and mental health and all of those things. And we pulled those dates and we created education material from that. Then we looked at the reasons that she was seeing most of her clients, and we created content based off of the top 50% of her patient visits. So for most of them, based on her practice, it was menopausal, premenopausal visits. And so we were able to create a lot of education material. Here's why we say your SEO matters. We had to cite everything. We couldn't just copy paste because we got it from somewhere. We had to figure out where it was coming from. We also said, here's the platforms where you can get this information. So long are the days where you have to go to a platform and search, especially like in healthcare, for a report or a document or data. You can say use only information found on XYZ platform or XYZ website, and I want to create content material that's branded, so on and so forth. And that's what we did for her. On her website for her chatbot, as people were filling out forms or asking questions, we loaded her AI agent with so much information so that she didn't even have to worry about responding to emails as much, because people were able to get their questions answered from that chatbot that opens up. Okay. All right, travel advisors and hospitality. You can just do this in fact, I recommend doing this personally. I have started to, when I go someplace, not Google the place, but start with a starting address and the ending address of where I'm going and the things that I like to do or want to see. And then I will ask ChatGPT to create an itinerary based on a budget that I can use. I'm not in Trip Notes. I'm in ChatGPT, right? So use the one that works for you. I also like to use ChatGPT on my phone because I can talk to it and it talks back to me. If you don't have it on your phone, I highly recommend it. And then I would change the voice so that it's like a buddy that you know. It doesn't sound like an alert or an Alexa alarm. Okay. All right, what about construction and field services? Job estimates. You can use this really across the board. Project scopes. I got asked to do facilitation kind of last minute and had little information. And I put into ChatGPT because it's in a world that I'm not always familiar with. I put it into ChatGPT and I was like, what should I know as someone that's coming in to do a facilitation? I have no idea what this industry is like. And it gave me a good amount of information. I took that information and I dropped it into Claude AI. And I said, let's create some really good questions to ask to make sure that we provide a really great facilitation. So again, that's with knowing your tech stack, right? If you are not familiar with social media, or that's not your thing, or you're not sure how to get really good angles, you can always use ChatGPT to help you with that, or Canva sometimes to help you with that. You can also use it to generate safety lists. So if you have compliance that you need to manage in some form or fashion, or you're new to that role or position, you can create those safety lists. And then you can just pivot and expand on each of those. Okay, I'm going to pause before we go into our power stack just to see if anyone has questions before we go forward. Take a little sip.
Hi, Nisi.
How are you?
It's Laura. I'm multitasking.
No
Good
worries.
brain come up. Hi. Multitasking, and earlier I used ChatGPT a lot. And one thing I had heard in the past is that, well, it's not current, it's maybe 2 years behind. And so when I'm searching for stats and stuff, just wondering if it's up to the latest information, like things that are being published daily.
So it has access to everything, right? And so if I published an article about a blue dress in 2005 and it went viral, whatever was in my article went viral, and then somebody else published an article in 2024 and it did okay, but it was the most current article on a blue dress, ChatGPT is going to go to the one that was most viral because of that SEO component, because SEO tells the internet what's most important or what has the best information. And so to help you, if there's something that you need that's time-based in your prompting, you want to say, don't go back any further than 3 years and provide me the site, right? Because they'll provide you the link and you can actually go to the site that they're talking about. So that's kind of how that works. So when people were like, yeah, but it pulled something up from 5 years ago, it pulled it up from 5 years ago because whatever was more current was not as popular. And it's going where the SEO says it should go. It's going where there's more conversation. So if something goes viral more people are talking about it on more platforms more often, even if it was 10 years ago, as opposed to something that happened just in the past 2 weeks. Nobody really knows about it, so it doesn't really show up in SEO. So it's not really going to show up in your chat.
Okay, now
Yeah.
that helps. So then I need to, like, if you're going to teach us about how to prompt better,
Mhm.
what I'm trying to get at, if I want the most traditional information, or some of these studies go way back, or of more things viral, then I'll just say, or I'm sorry, more things current, like don't go back more than 3 years.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Good tip. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Any other questions? Don't be afraid. We're all family here. There's no judgment.
Yeah, this is Laura Sutton. Thank you so much. I'm eating some off camera, but I'm a coach, and I just wanted to clarify about the privacy features, because sometimes I'll use so I record my Zoom sessions via Fathom, and then sometimes I will drop the transcript of a session into ChatGPT to help me generate content.
Okay.
So can you clarify, is that a bad idea? Should I not be using it that way, or should
Yeah.
I redact
I would
it?
not. Yeah, I would take it out. I would
Okay.
redact it. Trying to think. Honestly, the safest is like Microsoft 360 or 365. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Only because, so each platform will tell you what their privacy structure looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And let me just make a note. I'll send you guys that list. But there's things that you should be asking for or looking for. And when those privacy updates come out, really pay attention to them. But understand these are open platforms, even behind firewalls. So it might not be that somebody else can get access to your specific client information, but if there's a court order for that platform, everything that is done on that platform is now going into that court order, which means it's public record, right?
Okay.
And so always find ways to create firewalls. For the healthcare clients that we have, we use identifiers. So she has the identifiers in her HMR, her medical record system. And then when she's using it in ChatGPT, it's by number. So it's the patient's, number identifier that only she knows in her system.
Okay.
So it is an extra step sometimes that you have to take, but I think it's worth it, especially because we don't really have a great amount of governance around AI right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you have that privacy document, that'd be super helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll send that. And it goes into like the verbiage that you should be looking for, because they try to be slick and be like, oh yeah, no, it's HIPAA compliant, and then ... it's not. So
Yeah.
I'll give you the actual words that you want to look for to make sure. And even still, just be mindful, especially if you're putting it into an open AI platform. So the free version is open. The pro version has some firewall protection, but not if there's a court order, right? And
Yeah.
then the like agency or whatever the largest one usually is, that usually comes, you are in your own GPT, you're in your own AI world bubble. And so that's what you're looking for. That's why Microsoft is so popular with organizations.
Yeah, that's there's a toggle somewhere about like don't share my information, or something about don't use this to help train the model. That's what I was
Yeah,
trying to
never,
say.
never.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That it's a
So,
large language model, yeah. And
right.
it's never like, when you say yes, it's not just, Apple using the information, it's Apple and everybody Apple wants to share it
Right.
with. So,
Yeah.
just kind of keep that in mind. I always say, would you want somebody talking about you on AI the way you're talking about somebody else?
Right.
And if there's hesitation, you probably want to figure out another way to work that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course, of course. All right, I'll go into we call it the hamburger framework. If you feel overwhelmed, or you feel like I've got to be on 8 different platforms, or can I just be on one and do pretty much everything that I need? This is why we have the hamburger framework. This framework will kind of help reduce you popping in and out of different platforms, but it will also streamline your energy and effort, right? When I have a great, bright idea, I'll drop it into ChatGPT if it's something that needs words. If I have a great idea that's a visual thing, I will drop it into Canva Magic Create. So it's kind of the sum of those things, understanding what that looks like for you. So let's talk about your bottom bun. This is that infrastructure. So we always recommend that you know what your devices do and don't do. And this includes like all of the integrations that you have. So if you have Chrome integrated onto your device, where you don't have to like remember your passwords and things like that, you are probably more likely to share your information because you're crossing kind of barriers, right? Doesn't mean you can't do it, just means you need to be mindful of what that looks like. If you use Google for your information and you're sharing the link and not the Google on your computer or Microsoft on your computer, you are not in your own private space of your device. You are on the cloud. You are in the cloud. It's being stored there. So know what that looks like. You're on your devices and your internet. Also understand how your email platform works. Outlook is going to be the safest one. Then, you move into Gmail. Gmail is reading everything, every email that comes through for you, they're reading it, they're summarizing it, and depending on how you have yours set up, they're kind of giving you feedback. So you can build an AI agent that says, read all of my emails that happen after 3:00 p.m. and then give me a summary every morning at 7. I think that's a great feature. The challenge with that is if they've got to go in to read it, they've got to go in, a brain has to be attached to that, which kind of makes it public knowledge a little bit, which means your summary is really not your own very private summary. It's kind of this faux protection of information that we have. This is not, it's not to discourage you, but it's for you to think differently, right? So every email that you send, every integration that you create, understand what your infrastructure looks like. If I get an email from someplace that is using, data that it's collecting, and I open links and things like that, what does that look like for me? So knowing what your infrastructure is about is really important because it will help you make future decisions, kind of like with Laura and using the different platforms, because the infrastructure of your devices and services, you can use those platforms appropriately. All right, the meat patty. This is all of your operational tools. These are the platforms that you use to get things done. We always recommend a SaaS platform or a platform that does more than one thing for you because it's going to eliminate 2 and 3 other platforms that you have to sign into. Always look for integrations that are helpful. Sometimes they say they integrate, but there's still some sort of manual component to it that needs to be done. So for example, calendars and booking, I love Calendly. Some people love Google Calendar. And it just depends on what you like, but understand what your operational tools are. Here's why. I don't want to have 10 things that I'm using for operations and another 5 things that I'm using for communications, right? If I can streamline that as much as possible, that's what I want to do. This is what you touch every day. When you are at 2:00 in your day and you have 20 tabs open, my guess is half of them are your operational tools. So figure out how you can minimize or leverage the operational tools that you have. All right, this is the cheese. This is your automation. I recommend making sure you have the infrastructure and the meat patty before you move into automation. Clean those up first before you go to automation. Otherwise, your automations won't work well. It'll be choppy or it will cause problems and you'll have to go back, disconnect, uninstall, whatever that looks like for you. But this is for you to remove those manual, repetitive things that you have to do. So if in your platform, when somebody registers for an event, there's not a link, there's not a link for them to add it to their calendar, or you got to now send an invite, this is where you want to start. If somebody downloads an ebook from you and that's it, you don't have a chain or a sequence of emails that are going back to that person to nurture that relationship, this is the automation. That's your automation layer. So what things are you using for that? It's also important to know your data. Where are you getting and keeping and using your data? Because that will sit in your automation. Because when you need to know how many social media posts or how many emails it takes to get a conversion, it sits in your data. All right, lettuce and tomato. This is your content and communication. And please feel free to change it to a different topping. This is what I just put on my burger, okay? This is the layer that you kind of send out to the world. This is that funnel that you're starting. Again, ChatGPT, Claude, and Canva. If you have those three, you can get a lot of this done here without having to worry about adding to that tech stack. If you are doing a high priced item, I do recommend ConvertKit. They do basically your lead generation, but it is like your own salesperson behind the scenes, really streamlining that process for the individual to convert. We kind of talked about some of the other ones. The DMs, there's a couple of chatbots and DM features. If you've ever been on social media and somebody said, if you're having problems with your puppy, type puppy into the comments, they're actually using a chatbot behind the scenes. So when you type in puppy, they have something, a workflow behind the scenes that says, oh, somebody's interested. Let's take their information. So whatever platform they're on, let's take their Instagram information. And then when we have something about puppies again, we'll make sure we push it out to that person, either in a message or like a hashtag that's relevant to that person. So it's getting really creative in those spaces. So now you know the reason outside of just regular engagement, it's not because they just want you to put puppies in the chat. They are also using that information. So if I talk about brown puppies and blue birds and yellow cats, and I put out 3 social media posts and most of my audience responds with, yellow cats, guess what I'm going to create next? Yellow cat post, right? So it's really a great way to use that information for your good, for your benefit. When we think about our brand voice and our outreach and how we communicate, Canva is a great starting space for that if this is not your wheelhouse, so that you can streamline all of your efforts in one place. And then, of course, that top bun, this is your visibility. This is your brand awareness to the world. This is what lets them know that you're ready to do business with them. It's kind of your lights on or your storefront open sign. Your message is clear. It's clean. It looks beautiful. It has a beautiful customer journey, right? Yesterday and this morning, we had a bunch of classes and such kind of mixed up because we were adding bots behind the scene and the bots weren't laid out really well. And so you could see it was, wonkers trying to get everybody in alignment on the same page and right class and time and stuff like that. When you have it all worked out, when it looks really beautiful, it makes it a really great customer experience. And if they have a really great customer experience, they really trust you. If you can do well here, then, oh man, I know you can do well there, right? So just kind of keep that in mind as you are building your tech stack. All right, so some of the things that's really important when we're talking about moving forward or implementing using AI, also to streamline it so you're not kind of all over the place, figure out what your goal is. Why do you need to use it? What do you need to use it for? Once you figure that out, then figure out what's the ROI for each tool or platform. Okay. Do your platforms speak to each other? Or do I need to start integrating? And then you want to check in with that tech stack every 6 months because things are changing really, really quick. Google released a couple of weeks ago a whole lot of AI platforms and advantages. And we had a training 3 days after the release that Google put out. And half the information that we had in that training was null and void. So the things in AI world are changing really, really quickly. And we just want you to be mindful of what that looks like for you. You guys will get this PowerPoint as well. This is just kind of a reminder or summary of what your tech stack hamburger should look like. Say that fast. It doesn't work very well. And then prompt engineering. So this is where we're going to kind of go into the different platforms so you can see how to leverage what you're already doing into maybe giving you a little bit of relief or grace to get that done. Better prompts, better outputs. The more information you give it, and Michelle, this is kind of what we were talking about at the beginning, right? The more information you give it, the better. For depending on the platform or the client, we create like a one-pager. This was because just a few months ago, most of the platforms didn't have what we call projects or folders. So you just had 100 different chats about 100 different things, right? Now, a lot of these platforms are creating these folders or projects where you can talk about the same conversation. It's like mini rooms or mini departments within your organization. Here's my suggestion. If you are helping other clients, other businesses, where you're using their information in your chats, make sure you're using folders because it will get confused. I had been working on something. We have a self-care summit coming up next year, and I've been working on entering information from several different conversations that we had had into the chat and not into a folder. And then I went to ask a question about a cup, like a personal question about a cup. And because part of the summit messaging is fill your cup, it immediately assumed that my question about a cup that I was going to buy at Marshall's went along with the messaging for that summit, right? So if you can separate your information or your conversations or your chats by category, please do so because that's going to help you out a lot. So when we think about the anatomy of a prompt, I want you to think always first about the role. As AI evolves, you don't have to explain it this way as much, but you do want to give it a starting point. So I know most of us have heard act as if, right? That's the role part. Act as if you're a brand strategist for a wellness company. Okay, this is no longer good enough. You're going to have to go a little bit deeper. So act as if you are or don't act as if you are a brand strategist for a XYZ wellness company. Niche it down. What kind of brand strategist are you? Because you can be a PR brand strategist, you can be a communications brand strategist, you can be a customer experience brand strategist, right? The more information you give, the better the outcome is going to be. And then the task. This is, I think, where people kind of get lost. They have part of the conversation in their head and then they type the other part, which is another reason that I love to use ChatGPT on my phone because I can just talk to it and it will save that conversation in a chat. So if you say, I want a 3-part email welcome sequence, that doesn't give it a lot of information. What do you want it to do once you create it? Well, I want a 3-part email welcome sequence that makes the reader feel this or learn that, right? You want to make sure that you're adding in as much information as possible. These are just your starting points in your framework for prompting. And then you want to provide as much information as possible. Again, this is another reason why I love ChatGPT because you can talk to it. It's much easier to talk out what you're thinking than it is to type out what you're thinking sometimes. So my company helps busy moms reduce anxiety through natural remedies. What kind of busy moms? Where are these busy moms located? What do these busy moms like to do? The more you put into it, the less you have to redo and reprompt later. And then the next is format. What do you want the output? What do you want the outcome to be? So use subject lines in a short body copy under 100 words each. Okay, so we've got an email and we've got 3 emails in a sequence, and I just need a subject line and a body copy under 100 words. Well, how do I want it to sound in the first version, first email versus the third, right? And the first one, I probably want to pull some heartstrings. And the second one, I probably want to give some statistics or some data. And then the third one, I might want to put a little bit of urgency under it. So again, you can give more information. This is just your starting point as you grow into prompt engineering. And then don't forget to tell it the constraints. What to not do. So we always say things like no hallucinations, only base the information from the document that we provided or the site that we've agreed upon was a valuable site. Make sure there's no medical jargon, right? All of those things are extremely important because it's giving the whole idea, the whole picture to it. Remember, it is a smart robot, but it is still a robot at the end of the day. So your prompt should look something like this. Act as or say that they are, you are a XYZ, and then you want to give it the task, the audience, the context, the formats, the limits, and the rules. Here's the next thing that you need to add to this. You also want to say, think globally or think hyper locally or play the devil's advocate when you're giving me this information. What pushback would I get from sending this email that we could send differently? Never accept the first response. Never ever accept the first response. You're always going to want something more. So here's just a quick example, and let's all work together and think about what we can add to this prompt. So I'm going to have you guys drop it in the chat, what we can add to this prompt to get a better result. So I'll read it first, and then I'll have you guys just dump stuff into the chat. Act as a launch copywriter. Your task is to create a 5-day email campaign for a digital course. The audience is first-time female entrepreneurs who struggle with content creation. The course teaches Canva and ChatGPT to simplify social media. Each email should have a subject line, a hook, one call to action. Email should be under 150 words, use emojis, and never use fear-based language. So drop in the chat things that we can add that would make this a better prompt. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yep. Yep. For sure. We can even tell it things like, this will eventually become a book, but it's starting out as a presentation, right? Under 30. Yeah, exactly. You guys got it. You guys got it. So now you know, like when people are talking about the framework for prompting, this is the basic, like the bare minimum. Like we always say, if you don't have this, just don't talk to me, right? That's what ChatGPT is really saying. If you don't have this, then it's going to be a long conversation. And so you want to make sure you have at least this. And when we're teaching it like individuals or teams, we copy paste this into ChatGPT or into a Word doc, and then we literally do what you guys just did. We start to build on that prompt. You want to build more in the beginning because it will be less frustrating when you get your results back. Okay. All right, I'm going to pause because the next section is going into the platforms. And I'll see if anybody has any questions before we go into the platforms. All right, let's take a vote. Do we want to start with chat, Claude, or Canva? First response wins. I said vote and then I said first response. I'm a liar. I'm sorry. All right, we're going to start with Canva. So I'm going to start with like the best, get into it, let's go for it, way to use it so that you're not bogged down. They just released, well, not just released, a couple months ago released their Magic Studio. Use it. Sorry for Bree and Chrissy. Again, we're gonna, just okay, it's all right. Nothing's wrong with a repeat, right? You're gonna go to your home page and up here where it says you'll hit create design and it'll say Canva AI. And you're like, I need to figure something out. I need to create something. You need it to create something for you. You don't have to have a template. You don't have to have all the ideas. You don't have to have all of the, magic things that you need to put into AI or that needs to go into the bits and pieces of something else. So let's start with a brochure. So somebody drop in a chat what we want to create a brochure about. Everybody's like scrambling. That's okay. All right, so we're gonna do remodeling and then styling and then how to deliver mother bride message. Okay, we'll do those three. So, and here's what's great about this. Design for me, and I'm literally copy pasting what you put. So I'm not even like, I have no clue what I want to do or where I'm going with this. And it does take a second. And so if you're impatient like me, let's try again. There we go. Okay, so just like that, it gave us a starting point. It gave us something to start from, right? Some of these are 2 pages. Wouldn't that be nice? Isn't it easier to correct somebody's something than to start your own? And that's really what this is. You're like, oh, I like the layout of this. I don't like the colors. I don't like the font. I don't like the whatever. But you're not starting from scratch, which is the hardest part when you're trying to, in our busy world, just create something, right? All right, so let's go back.
Missy, I have a question for you
Yeah.
with this one, because ChatGPT before today is like the only thing that I've used formally AI. And so when I first started in Canva using the AI, I was prompting it like I was ChatGPT and was like, what is this? It's not coming out in the same way. So what is your mindset when you're going into Canva prompting?
Yeah, absolutely. So this really breathes life into knowing your tech stack, right? I'm gonna use this platform for this. That way you don't cross them over, like you don't get like it doesn't feel the same, right? Target versus Walmart kind of thing. When I have a blank slate or a great idea that needs words, I start in ChatGPT. When I have an idea or a blank slate that needs vision or visuals, I start in Canva.
Mhm.
And then because it creates so much of it for me, before I have to really think.
Yeah.
And that psychological barrier to getting things done, the moment it starts to get tough, people start to tap out. They feel overwhelmed and like, never mind, forget it, I don't want to do it. Or they wait until the last minute, they put it off. When you use AI, think of it as like your cheat sheet, right? Like you're cutting through all that stuff, you don't have to do it. So if I need to create a visual something, and you saw, I used very little words. I think I just put a brochure for, what did we say? Remodeling services. That was it. So the more words you put in, the better. ChatGPT is really to help you think first, like build that concept, build that framework. You can go into the weeds with it as well, but it really is there to kind of lay that foundation of what it is that you're thinking. I always say it's like, you know how you have one friend that you call when you're trying to figure something out and you just want them to confirm what you already feel, right? And you don't call the friend that's going to tell you, no, that's not a good idea because they're not going to confirm it. You call that's ChatGPT. I need you to tell me this is a great idea because it's just kind of floating in my head and I put it there. If I need a visual, then I go to Canva.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is how I would start using Canva AI. I wouldn't start with the words quite so much. So, something like that is like, not going to do it. Not going to do it. Let's see. The next business was for styling. So let's create. And now it has nothing else, right? We have no brand information, we have no contact, we have nothing. We're just so you know how easy it is to get started. We hit design for me, and then we're gonna ask it to create. And I think somebody put in like, yeah, I can't, I'm so not patient either. So again, it has nothing to go by, right? It's not really sure what I'm looking for. Oops, I accidentally put it on. So what if I said, for styling, I'm gonna merge the two with the bride, brides and guests at a wedding. I don't know. Let's just make stuff up and see what happens, right? Make sure design for me is clicked. Now it's changed the whole thing. The aesthetic is different. The layout looks different. Even the colors are different, right? And even like this one, that's not exactly what we were talking about, but I bet if my color or my brand aesthetically looks something like this, I would pick up that brochure because I could move with it really quickly. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. And this is the best way to kind of capture that moment. Let's see. All right, let's do this one. I got you, Michelle. Let's see what we get. And it can be any design piece. So it can be a report, it can be a flyer, brochure, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. And you're like, nah, no, that's not it. You can ask for more. And you're like, yeah, but these colors, yeah, I don't know about these colors. Let's do something else with these colors. Man, I'm so impatient. I know it's me. I know it's me. Right? But you see how it continues to like create things. And you literally can click on each one of these and it will pull up a new tab. So if you're like, I can't choose between these 2 or 3, it will pull that up for you. It will create that for you. So that is the easiest way to jump into design for Canva and using their AI. Now, if you are like, I don't want to be in ChatGPT and I don't want to be in this one and that one and all the other ones, here's the easiest way to do that. You're going to start with, start with create. And I just want a doc. I'm going to create a doc. And I'm going to just use, let's see, what was one of the other ones? Oh, I just read your message, Laura, about Amazon. Yeah, or instant gratification. I'm so bad with that. All right. All right. I'm going to use yours about the how to deliver mother of bride messages. So when I go to use AI for the words in Canva, I always start like with a list or some sort of concept that can be broken down or chopped up. So I usually say 10 social media posts or 10 blog messages, and I'll show you how you can dissect these things to get something else. So I will say, let's go, we're going to hit Magic Write. And then we're going to tell it what we want. We want, let's just do 5 blog posts about, oh, I copied the wrong thing. Hold on. Okay. Da, 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 da. I'm gonna just insert all that in there, right? I'm like, okay, great. I've got a starting place. I have some things that I can talk about. You can go in one of 2 directions with this. My direction is almost always create no barriers. So instead of thinking, I just copy, paste, repeat, and slice stuff up. When you start thinking, you start building tasks for yourself and you bury yourself under that task. So instead, go into this and you're going to say, okay, I love the first blog idea. Let me just copy this. I'm going to go down to the bottom of my document. In Canva, the doc is a long document. It doesn't have page breaks in it. It's just one long document. And I'm going to go back to Magic Write. And I'm going to say, create 5 social media posts. Oops. And I'm literally going to copy paste that first blog sample that it gave me into my next prompt. Insert. Now I have 5 blogs and potentially 5 posts for each blog. That was 3 minutes, right? So this is great. I'm loving this. Is awesome. This works. This is what I like. I can actually go in and say, you know what? I think this one, we could probably turn this one into a video. So I'm going to copy this, go back to the bottom of my document, Magic Write, and I'm going to say, create a video hook and script for a 30-second video about, and I'm just copy pasting. I'm not doing thinking on this part, right? So I'm not trying to make this part perfect because I just want everything to flow. So Brandy, when you go in to use Canva, like you use AI, this is probably the feature that stays the same. This is probably the closest that will be the same. I'm just going to insert that. Now, in less than 10 minutes, I know it was less than 10 minutes, I have 5 blogs, potentially 5 posts for each of those blogs, potentially a video for each of those posts, social media posts, right? I'm not going in and recreating the wheel on that. That's it. That's all. And so it's really important feature because you can keep everything in one place. So for this, I can say, I could change the title of this to January's content. That's all there. It's all done. And if there's pieces of this or parts of it that I want different or want to change, or I can expand on, or man, I have a good checklist that I can give, I can pull it from right there. It's all right there. Okay. All right. So that's the second way that I would use Canva. Here's the third way to use Canva. And that's understanding the power of your brand kit. As you use it, so how do you create that video? Oh, the video, a couple of ways I would create the video. If this is what I wanted to see, and if it was just me, or if it was a narrator or whatever, it just depends on how I want to get it out. I can send this to my team and be like, hey, let's meet on Tuesday and let's do a mock video of this so that we can record it and publish it. If I wanted the video to be AI generated, I would need to go into a different platform. They do have some video generation, but they're not quite there yet, right? Like it would just be, if I did it, I would do a voiceover and I would do B footage, background footage, which you can get from the videos here. So you can get videos here, and I would find a video that matched kind of the scenery or aesthetic of whatever it is that I'm trying to create a video of. And then maybe a voice over AI voice, like if I didn't want to use my own, like I just wanted to mass produce some stuff. And I'll show you this real quick. We did this a little bit earlier. You can go in, take your text, and pick a person.
The mother of the bride speech is more than just a tradition. It's a chance to express your deepest.
So it would go on. You could generate the whole voice thing from that. So that's super, super easy to kind of jump into. I think people don't get stuck in working out some of the polishing parts. They get stuck in creating the actual fundamental thing. And so as long as we can figure out that fundamental thing, we can tweak the rest of the other things, I think, at some point. Okay. All right. So the next thing that I would make sure I'm aware of how to do in Canva is the brand. Let me just go into a new one. We kind of talked about this a little bit morning. Let's see. So they're moving from brand kit to more of a brand hub. And this is where you can really go in and just pour in all the information that you need about your brand, so that as you're creating and using AI and prompts throughout Canva, all of your brand information shows up. Always upload your logo, your colors, always make sure that they're there. Your fonts, if you have to upload fonts because you got it from a designer, you can do that as well. Here's where the 2.0 came in. They have guidelines. You can say, don't use this font in social media, or only use it in the right, left, or right bottom quarter. The biggest thing that's important is your brand voice. So as you're using AI to create content for you, it can pull whatever that brand voice is for you to use at the same time. Same is true when we think about any of the other photos, like photos that we use all the time, background photos, brick and mortar photos, things of that nature. And then of your graphics, like if you're constantly using a particular type of graphic, you can drop that in there as well. I always like to use, like we did this morning, we took the Nabo logo and we made it like a little icon. Make it an icon, clean it up, put it in here. And then as you're creating documents and reports, instead of a bullet dot, you have the icon. And that just brings home your attention to detail and how much you are, paying attention to being brand aware. charts is a new feature in Canva, and they automatically create charts for you. Bring in your brand or chart colors because it automatically creates it. If you don't do that, it will give you some weird color for you to look at. So, all right, so let's go to chat. Somebody drop in what we want chat to do. What do we need chat to do for us today? All right, Michelle, I gotcha. So this is what we're starting with, but let's go back to our framework, right? Do we have everything? How are this person acting? Who are they? What's their role? You see how quick it is to like, we want to task rabbit it, but we don't want to use it as a thought partner. And the second that we like say, okay, it's not a task rabbit, it's a thought partner, we've got to like give it full attention to detail. It changes how we put it in. So let's go in and let's just do it this way. Okay, you got it. Let me see if I can get all of it. Okay. Yes, no. What do we like about it? What would we change? Well, what are we like? Yeah, that sounds very chat. What's the first thing that we see? Right? Yeah, I say the same thing. No emojis, no hashtags. No, like you have to get like really specific in there. So we can be more mindful about this, and we can say, can you find her LinkedIn? And add more, and I'm not going to hit search, but it does have the power to do this, right? You can say, find something that's online, be specific to something that's online where I can get more information. If you've ever had to host people or introduce people and they give you like a bio from 20 years ago and it has like 3 lines, you're like, okay, I need you to go search the internet and find everything you can about this person or this organization. ChatGPT can do it. This is why I say ChatGPT or AI is replacing our search engines. So you want to be mindful of what that looks like. And then, yeah, it's not very specific to Michelle. Like this could be anybody, right? Like we could probably remove Michelle and her business name from this and anybody would fit in, right? So let's say some of the things that we could change are the marketing, right? So let's focus on her marketing objectives of content creation. Okay. It even threw in a little bit more. Okay. So be specific in your prompt. It's not just this. This is the least that you want to have. The more specific you are, the better the prompt will be. So let me try. And then the thing that Claude does really well is it's more of a sophisticated thought partner. So I'm going to take this, what we did in ChatGPT, over to Claude. And I'm gonna say, I need to update, oops, this intro. So I put it in, and I need to include, what else do we want to know? Speaking. What else do we want to know about Michelle? Prominent clients. Oh yeah, that's a good one. And let's do one personal thing. And that she lives in Texas. Okay. Let's see what we get now. What do you notice? What's the first thing that it's saying? Well, let me go be nosy. Let me go figure out who this person really is. And then what does it tell you? Based on my search. It also gives you the opportunity to have an idea of what you can put in or what you can ask for. So, okay, we don't have her other speaking engagements, but I now know when I send Michelle an email to ask for more information, I can ask for these things, insert this, insert that, right? And it just creates a great way. A lot of times I will just copy paste this and say, hey, this is what we're working on to send out. Please fill in the blanks. I'll highlight the insert part and let them, fill that in so that they can get more information from that. Okay. Let's do some other like things, same thing in each one. So let's start a new chat and let's say, create a content calendar pillar for my consulting business about nonprofits. Create content calendar pillars. Pillars are like the groups of areas of focus of what you're gonna kind of talk about, Craig. Create content. No, create content. Yep. Okay. Let me copy this. I'm gonna put it here. We're gonna go away. We're gonna see what they do. That's probably my favorite thing. Have you ever like been going on a road and the GPS says this way or the other way, and you're like trying to see which one is going to give you the best result? I love doing that. Don't ask me why. I don't have questions. I don't have answers for you. So you can see the pillars that Claude is building out. This is why I say Claude is just a more sophisticated thought partner. How do you think ChatGPT did? Let's see. Big difference, right? We use the exact same words, exact same words. Here's what you should know. If you have very specifics and you're not putting them in, use ChatGPT because you can add them as you go. It will always prompt you for the next thing, right? At some point, after you say yes 1,000 times, you will get to the result of Claude. If you want all of it built and you to just correct the things that are not correct or not right, like we call them hallucinations, then go to Claude, right? It's totally how you like to flow in your own space for this, okay? These are the documents or artifacts that Claude has for this particular thing. Storytelling approach, interactive content, It gives you information by quarter. We didn't ask for any of this stuff. None of this stuff is what we asked for. All we said was create content calendar pillars for my consulting business about nonprofits. That's it. That's all. So when you are in very high esoteric conceptual, I think I want to buy a zoo, go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm thinking about buying a zoo. What should I know about this before I move forward? And it will give you kind of, well, you probably should like animals kind of spiel. If you put that into Claude, it's going to give you the document to run the zoo. And for some people, that's too much or it's overwhelming. The other thing you have to ask yourself is, what are you doing with it, right? So one of the, I don't want to go back too far, but like, what are you going to do with it once you get it? You know, what's the return on the investment? If you just need a 1-page, 10 bullet point document, don't go to Claude. Because then you have to pull out all that information to create that document. Here's the other reason that I like ChatGPT, because I can say, oh man, this is great. Look, what does it say? Would you like me to, a Google Sheets template, a Notion board, and I can say a Word doc. And it's going to take whatever we talked about, and it's going to put it into a Word doc that I can download. Claude does not do that very well. You literally have to copy paste, and you're copy pasting from an HTML platform. So you have to copy and then Shift Control V, like you have to remove the format to paste it. So again, what is it that you want it to do for you? So this is why I say, when I need a visual thing that gives me a starting place, gives me an idea or concept of something that I need to create visually, the outcome, right? I go to Canva. When I need something that is like I need some foundation or some framework to it, I don't really know where I want to go with it, I go to ChatGPT. When I need something built, I spend time thinking about what it is that I want to get really good directions, or I'll start it in ChatGPT, get my info from ChatGPT, and then take it to Claude and copy paste it into Claude. So let's see, it should be done. And there you go. Now you have a file that you can download for this. I like this feature so much that sometimes what I will do is, let me see if it'll let me do it. I will take this, because I'm a lazy girl, and I will copy what Claude gave me because it's perfect, it's great, I love it, there's nothing that I would change about it, or it's so little that it's not even worth trying to fix. And I will say, create a doc for this. And I just dumped everything that Claude had into ChatGPT. It'll take a little second, but it's going to produce that file for me. Again, I have no patience. While this is coming up, do you have any questions about Canva, Claude, or ChatGPT? Or are there any prompts that you want us to try? Because I can share the results with you.
I have some questions.
Yeah.
So let's see. If I can remember what I was gonna ask. So let me tell you how I'm using it and what it could be better, which I already think using Claude could be better. So I'll write out my outline or ask GPT, here's what I'm gonna talk about. Can you tell me some other things? And I'll write it out and then I'll put it in there to like improve it. But I didn't think about using Claude. So to like up level, try loading my speech in Claude and then maybe sending it back to ChatGPT for an outline so that I have like note cards to practice or something. Okay. So Claude can polish it off and make it sound better.
Yeah, it can. And I do that all the time. I'm gonna just download this real quick so I can show it to you guys. I do that all the time. I cannot stress enough knowing your tech stack, because you can go bing, 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 and not even think twice about it, right? Whereas when you don't like the result that you get, you keep asking the same question to the same platform, it's not going to work, right? So let me take something that you do. Hold on. My ADHD is getting ahead of me. Let me show you the outcome of this first.
Sure, go for it.
Let me show you that first so you can see it. And then we're going to take something that you do. So let me bring this over. Can you guys see that Word doc?
Yes.
That was what was in Claude.
Mm.
That was what was in Claude. So all of that is done. Okay, I have another tip, and I think, Laura, this will be something that would be beneficial for you. So let's say, let's start a new chat. So let's say I am speaking about, tell me something, women's
Biggest.
complaints or pain
Yeah.
points.
Yeah, pain points. Mhm.
Points. Oops. Thinking about women's fashion pain points, and I need to create a presentation and talking. I can't spell. Well, I mean, I can never spell anyway, but okay. So we're in ChatGPT, right? Somebody called and said, hey, I want to know if you can come and speak to women about their pain points. You said, absolutely. We know that you can, but now you're like, crap, now I got to create this thing, right? So you drop just what they asked for in here, nothing else. Here's what you might want to use in your tech stack. Let me get out of this. Hold on, there we go. So this is Typeset. This is another AI platform. It is for presentations. So when you go to do it in Canva, okay, cool, that's great, that's fine. But there's a lot of work that you've got to do to manipulate Canva to get it to look right, the part. So we have an outline. We have an idea. Let's say we've read through this and we're like, yeah, that's cool, but that's like really blank. That's not really giving me what I need. Couple things that you can do. If you like to talk with little words on your presentation, we're just going to copy this. They even gave you a title, Unzipping the Truth. Oh, look at that. We're going to go over here. We're going to create a deck. I'm only going to hit paste one time. Okay. I love this. This is like my favorite thing in the world. I don't know why. Don't ask questions. Your whole presentation's there. That was 20 seconds. Immediate gratification, right?
Yeah.
Done. Now, obviously, you've got to go in and clean it up and everything else. But it has these features that give you what you're talking about, images.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
And
I built Canva.
so those aren't my colors. Hold on. Maybe my
Those
back,
aren't my colors either.
is blue or, whatever. And now I'm, going to change whatever. But it gives you the concept to do that. Okay, here's my philosophy, especially when we're talking about content creation. How much time we got? Okay. Create big once and then repurpose, right? So I have this, I have it done, I have it in presentation mode. This is great. I love it, blah, 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 blah. I need to use it for social media. Because why create this presentation that I'm presenting to them and not use it again because it's what I talk about, right? So this has 11 slides. The reason that I was saying you could keep it simple like this, or you could go into Claude, is because if you're going to use it for social media, you'll want more slides, you'll want more things to go with it, or you'll want to know how I'm going to slice it up, right? Whatever makes sense for you. But let's just keep it simple for this one. So I'm ready to export. Let's say I've gone in, I've stylized each of the frames to be, you know, whatever version or, you know, whatever that I want it to be. And I'm good. I love it. I love everything about it. Now I'm going to go in to export. And I'm going to take those presentations and I'm going to make them into images. I'm only going to do these. I'll do 3. Turn it into images. I can also turn it into any of these images. This doesn't go anywhere. I can change this up and these stay the same, okay? Or I can duplicate a slide because I want more visual component and add text on the side. Whatever you want, you can manipulate it however you want. But I'm just gonna be like super lazy. I just want it square. Oh, it changed it for me. Perfect. I don't have to do anything. I want these 3 in images. Let me export.
Is this a free tool?
I think Typeset has a free version. I think the paid version is about $40 a month, I think. But no, again, when you do your tech stack, you don't have something that you use once a quarter and you're paying $50 a month for, right? That's the value of doing that. Okay, so let me get your compressed folder. I'm gonna try to hurry because I saw your post and I want to help you with yours too, Marie. Let me get this. Let me extract them. So let's say I have 30 social media posts that I just haven't done anything with, and I'm still trying to expand on my brand and my messaging, and I really talk about something hyper specific or within a niche or whatever that looks like, right? So I'm going to, see if I can. Oh, wait, let me go into a new one. New chat. Let's pretend like we never had this conversation about what we were talking about. I'm going to bring those images that I just created in Typeset into here, into ChatGPT. And I'm going to say, I need, you know, 10, 5, 7, 10 is always a good idea because it gives you a little mix of everything. When you start going into like 20, 25, it just waters everything down. So it's taking the image, it's going to put it here. Sometimes it will ask questions when you put in an image, sometimes not. But, and so we would do what we call tech stack double dutch right now. That's what we're doing. Okay, so we're back and forth in our platforms. We're only using, well, technically we're using 2 platforms right now. So great, it's given me these 10 posts. Guess what I'm gonna do? Because I don't want to go into Canva and I don't want to be creative. I don't want to do all that stuff. I'm gonna copy paste because I'm lazy like that, and that's okay. I'm gonna go right back here. I'm gonna get out of the export. I'm gonna go down to new slide. And I'm just going to paste what I got from ChatGPT. And now I have my social media posts. And now I just manipulate them as I need them. And then when I want to do something different or whatever, I go in and you can even just do like a screenshot. Like it doesn't even have to be, you know, super fancy. Okay, double dutch, right? We're back into another one. And I'm going to say, create a blog about that image, that one image that I got from you already, right? Or maybe this is an old image, Or don't tell anybody, but one of the best ways to do it is if you're in a group, like a Facebook group, LinkedIn group, and somebody asks a question, I literally copy paste the question, throw it in the chat and be like, how could I answer this based off of whatever the details are? And then I throw it into Typeset and I get my visuals. 5 minutes. So your doom scrolling is actually work. You're being really productive. That's what that is. Okay. And now you have a blog.
That's cool.
Okay. And then again, double dutch it again. Take this blog, throw it into here, do it the way we did it before. Or here's the best part about what's happening with Canva right now. This was the early one that we worked on, right? The brochure. The best part about what's happening with Canva when it comes to design creation is you're like, okay, this is great. I love it. That's not the size that I need now. Now I need a social media post and I need this for Instagram. So in the same document as my brochure, I now carry it into another file type or size or image, whatever, here. When you press here, let's see. Next. This is your magic, right? And I want to, let's do generate a quiz. So, you know, those polls that you see, you know, which cabin would you like to retire in, or where do you want to go on vacation, or which shoes would you wear, or whatever that looks like. Boom, now you have an engaging interactive feature that you just popped in. Like the opportunities are endless, but you really have two things you got to know. Which platforms are you going to use? And don't feel like you have to stay in one. How are you going to use them together, right? So we just went from chat to typeset to chat, kind of back and forth. We pulled old images and used them, things like that, what that looks like for you. That's why we say your tech stack will change based off of either what you're doing or what you need. But it prevents you from being like, remember when Brandy was like, I was in Canva and it was like, that's not ChatGPT. You got to know what you're using each platform for. So,
No,
but
very
yeah,
helpful, Nisi. Thank you.
of course, of course. All right, I'm free for another 15 minutes. If anybody has questions, I don't want to hold anybody up any more than we need to. Or if you want me to do something specific, I can definitely do that. Just let me know either way.
I have one question, Nisi. About blogs. When we get we write the blogs, we get an idea, we write the blog. Do we have to mention anywhere that it's AI generated, or what do I need to do?
So it depends on one, like who your audience is and what you're talking about sometimes. So if you are talking about anything in health or science or government or, you know,
Okay.
anything that's like a fact checker kind of thing, then you want to mention your sources, right? Or you want to add a disclaimer that basically says, automated features were brought in to help produce this blog kind of thing. Grammarly, if you have Grammarly overlay, they have some really great lines that you can put like at the end of your blog. That is super easy for you to just kind of be a default and add in there all the time.
Oh, okay.
The best way to do it is on your website. You have to have like that freestanding privacy page. So on that freestanding privacy page, you want to also include a disclaimer. Like you have a privacy disclaimer, you want to include an automation disclaimer. Okay. Right now, you're in this space where people are kind of freaked out. They're like, is this fake news? There's a big difference between fake news and AI supported content. You just want to be transparent and forthcoming, because when you create a blog, do you use the spelling feature or the grammar feature? Yes, that's AI. But you
Yeah.
don't put that I use, the spelling feature to make sure everything, made sense. So it's kind of like that. So if you're in those spaces, I definitely would have something with each piece of content. Otherwise, default to your privacy page on your website. That way, anything that's on there, they know that you're using several sources to generate content for this blog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal. Thank you.
Of course.
Excellent training. Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
See you again.
I think we're good. You guys have my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me, ask me questions. During the summer, we do a lot of Ask Me Anythings. They're kind of random sometimes, like people cancel a lot in the summer. Just, I don't blame them. I would cancel too. And so we already have the time blocked. So we'll be like, hey, we haven't asked me anything at 2 o'clock next Wednesday. You can jump on, ask questions, and we can work through stuff like this that you need help with.
How do we get notified of that?
Usually we just have it. We have it in our newsletter. I got to move my NABO folks over. Hold on. Let me make a note. So I'll move you guys into our newsletter. You guys, because you guys are part of a training curriculum that I do for NABO specifically, you're not in my like mass produced, list. So it's just a courtesy, don't spam, kind of thing. But I'll move you over and then you accept. Once you accept, you'll get the newsletter. And there's several different ones that we do. We have one specifically for content creation, specifically for AI. I have a group on the website where you can just go in. If something happens in the AI world, we throw it in there, kind of thing. So you'll have access to that stuff too.
Excellent. Excellent. Is there going to be a next steps class to this? Is there a part 2, like an MBA for Nisi?
Yeah. So I think what we have been like getting a lot of people like just comfortable with AI, and the next step is by profession and by platform. So like the last one we did was for like the wellness industry, and we go into the weeds specifically on like wellness industry stuff, and then we've done it for like nonprofit in general, but then also like fundraising for nonprofit and how to use it. We go deeper into the weeds and we do more scenarios, and the portal. I think you're, Michelle, the only one that's in the portal. The portal where you can go in and find the other stuff sits in there. And so we'll update the portal with this information too, but you guys also will get the slides and the recording.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. This has helped me immensely.
Good. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Reach out if you have any questions. Marie, did you want to go through one?
Yeah. Can we? I'm actually was preparing to submit a proposal for San Antonio Startup Week,
Okay.
and it's on manufacturing. So that would be great if you could take my question and how you might use the 2 platforms to create that proposal.
Yeah, let's see. Let me.
And actually, the idea it's on manufacturing resiliency. I gave a talk early this month, and we didn't get very many people. So I know it wasn't catchy enough, and it was with Bank of America. So, but now I'd like to create a webinar from it. And we actually, I did create kind of an interactive approach to the talk. So
Okay.
the people who were there enjoyed it, but certainly the title wasn't catchy.
That's probably the hardest part. So let's put all of the pain points in. So submit a presentation proposal for SA Startup Week about manufacturing. I need a catchy headline. Need the presentation to be engaging. Let's see, what are some other pain points? Informative,
Yeah, I had used a SWOT analysis to help them identify resiliency, right? The, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Are you familiar with that?
Mhm.
Yeah, so I had used the SWOT analysis as a means to identifying actions to create resiliency. Because people normally think of resiliency as like, when we had COVID or we had a tornado or we had electricity go out. But now manufacturing needs to come back to the United States, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's a whole different. I used to, so ironically by design, I'm actually a nurse, and I used to do a lot of occupational health and safety and manufacturing, and there just was there was no work. I loved it. I love the space. Got my Lean Six Sigma black belt. Do all the all that stuff. Love that world. I like the order of all the things, and it was dying out, and I was like, I can never find a job. So I'm glad that you're in that space doing that.
yeah.
All
Okay.
right, so let's see. I put the exact same thing in both.
Okay.
So here's how you can manipulate ChatGPT. So this is what I gave it, and these were some of the headlines that it gave me, and I'm like, I always say things like, I just copy paste the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I just copy paste the whole thing. And I'm a little sassy. I'm like, do better. Right? Like, we don't have time to really chit chat, do better. And I give it back to them. Absolutely. Right? This is the friend that agrees with you. And they said, more magnetic, more memorable, more bold. Now I'm like, okay. And then what I might do is say, I like this. And I'm just picking stuff, not.
Yeah, I like that number 6. Yeah.
And
future-proofing their manufacturing. I like that. Yeah.
So I might not like the way they have it, and I'll say, okay, I like these 2 parts of it. And I'll say, can you go in and merge this?
Okay.
Merge this. So remember, don't think TaskRabbit, think thought partner. If I'm thinking this through with a thought partner, we go back and forth, right? We're trying to figure out, will this work? Will this not work? And so, okay, we've got that. And then I'm like, you know what? I need to make this work for the audience. So I would go and grab who I'm talking to. I would just get the URL.
Right.
We're not going into great detail because they can pull the rest of it.
Right.
And I'll say, let's refocus. Oops.
Good.
Now it's searching that website that I gave it.
Wow.
So it's pulling out who they are.
Yeah.
What I want. Now I have something different. Now I got what I wanted. I got the 2 merged together, and it's telling me why it's a fit. Here's the other thing that's important. It's giving me the tone.
Right.
It's giving me the tone. If I'm like, I might say, this is boring. Let's just say.
Yeah.
You're right. Of course, right? But it tells you, okay, you know what? Yeah, let's go back. Let's do the other thing.
Okay.
You see?
Yeah.
So I think what happens is a lot of people, they put something in but they put kind of the same thing in.
Right.
Explain it, but it's the same explanation.
Okay.
Take what it's given you, pull out what you like.
Okay.
Better. Tell it to fix it.
Okay. Just do better. You can even just say that. I saw you to say do better.
Yeah, do better.
Wow.
If I don't like it, I'll be like, no, that's not any good.
Okay.
The more natural you are and how you talk to it, the better your result is going to be.
And I know that Laura is here waiting for you. Just one thing, you said you talk to ChatGPT, so you enable a voice. It has a voice feature if you subscribe to it. Is that right?
Well, you don't have to. You can do it on your desktop too. It has dictate here. I have it disabled because if I'm talking to clients, like I disable all the other things.
Okay. Okay.
So my business phone, I have it on my business phone, and I will just like talk to it.
Okay.
Because
All
it's
right.
just more natural when you're talking to it, and it will talk back.
Okay.
It will talk back, and then just have a conversation. Your
Yep.
conversation gets saved as a chat, so you don't have to worry about it disappearing,
Yeah.
and you can continue to talk it through.
Yes.
So
Okay.
that's how I would get started.
Good.
Pull from it, like this one has a 5-step playbook, because remember we wanted to be informative and engaging.
Right.
So we can
Yes.
say, okay, instead of a playbook, let's change it to an icebreaker or
Yeah. Right. An
whatever that
interactive,
looks like.
yeah,
Mhm.
workshop. Right.
Yep.
Okay. Well, if I get accepted, I'll let you know.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Let me know. That sounds good. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Nisi. It was
Of
great
course.
meeting you.
You as
Excellent.
well.
Yeah, very informative and beneficial. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Laura, did you have one you wanted to go through, or you're good? Oh, you're on mute, hun. Oh, I see.
I'm
There we
going to use that same approach because I'm also going to apply for Startup Week. So we'll see that. But I had a question and I can email it to you. It's that I think I've done so many projects. I feel like ChatGPT sometimes on my laptop and then on my phone will like time out. And it just won't give. And I'm like, do I need to archive some stuff or how do I manage? And is my phone know what I'm doing with my PC version?
Yeah. Yeah, as long as you're logging into the same account, it knows. So if I pull this account up on my phone, it would have this information. Sometimes there's a lag. You might have to refresh or log out, log in, but it does keep track per account. Are you on the free version or paid version?
I'm paying.
Paying. I think what you might need to do is go in and probably start clearing it out. So as long as, like in the free version, there's no folders. In the paid version, you have the folders or projects, right?
I need to use that. Yeah.
You need to use that so it keeps the information together. Because right now, when you have just chats, all it's thinking is this is one big old conversation we keep having. And so it's kind of sort of pulling in from everything and everywhere. It's trying to stay within the scope, but it's just pulling because it's there, it's open. When you use the folders, what you're telling it is this is a defined conversation specific to this, which makes it easier for it to stay hyper specific in that space.
That's good.
The other thing too is if you feel like the conversations are not sophisticated enough or the responses are not sophisticated enough, after you changed how you prompt and you're still not getting what you want, go to Claude. Go to Claude and get that information from Claude because they're going to give you better response, more depth, more detail, more warmth. It's like a whole person showing up.
No, I love that. I mean, if anything, that's my takeaway today. There was a lot, like, it was very informative, lot packed. It's a little, you could feel overwhelmed, but I'm like, I'm just going to do one thing. I'm just going to use Claude now. And I'm going to use Canva Magic right now because I pay for that too. So
yeah, and that really is like, you guys will get the slides. What do I need to use to get through my day?
Yeah.
And what can I just not use to make it less overwhelming for me?
Yeah. No, I love it because social media takes me 2 hours because I'm doing the creative and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, this is easy.
Yeah, totally use the AI to help you create the design. That I think that like that's probably the best way to go about it. That way you don't have to start from scratch. And if you have all your brand information in Canva, all you do is you press a color and you can go to your brand and it
I
will
need to do that. I don't have the brand kit set up yet.
See, so like this brand is in here. I press that color, my color palette pulls up, my fonts pull up, any photos that I use all the time or icons or graphics is already there. I don't have to think about it.
Ooh,
It's just done for me.
I like color.
Right? So just, again, if you pull the hamburger out, you see which ones you need to use, eliminate the rest of them, own the ones that you use, and that way you don't feel the overwhelm.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to apply this. Thank you.
Of course.
Have a great one.
You too. Good seeing you.
You too. Bye.